It was a crisp autumn morning in the city, the kind where the air feels cleaner somehow, and the sunlight catches on windows and car hoods in bursts of gold. Alex was already running 5 minutes behind schedule, frantically searching for his other shoe, while simultaneously trying to button his shirt. This was nothing new. Mornings had always been his nemesis. The alarm would blare. He'd hit snooze exactly twice, and then the mad dash would begin. But today felt different. Today he was picking up Jamie. Jamie. Even thinking the name sent a flutter through Alex's chest that he'd been trying to ignore for months now. They'd been friends since college. 3 years of study sessions, late-night talks, and gradually becoming fixtures in each other's lives. But somewhere along the way, for Alex at least, something had shifted. A lingering glance held too long. A casual touch that sent electricity up his arm. The way Jamie's laugh had somehow become his favorite sound in the world. Alex had never planned to fall for his best friend. In fact, he'd actively tried not to. He'd dated other people, thrown himself into work, even tried to set Jamie up once or twice. Disasters, both times, which secretly relieved him more than he cared to admit. But nothing seemed to dislodge this feeling that had taken root in his chest, growing stronger with each passing day. Finding his shoe kicked halfway under the couch. How did that even happen? Alex grabbed his keys and headed out the door. His apartment was on the 3rd floor of an old converted warehouse, all exposed brick and pipes, the kind of place that was freezing in winter and sweltering in summer, but had character, as his mother diplomatically put it. The elevator was temperamental at best, so he took the stairs 2 at a time, checking his watch. Jamie would be waiting. Their carpooling arrangement had started innocently enough 6 months ago. Jamie's car had broken down, and since they worked in the same part of town, it made sense. Even after Jamie's car was fixed, they kept up the routine. It saved gas, they reasoned. It was better for the environment. All perfectly logical explanations that conveniently ignored how much they both looked forward to those 30 minutes together each morning. Cocooned in Alex's old Honda Civic, sharing coffee and stories as the city woke up around them. As Alex pulled up to Jamie's building, he spotted that familiar figure waiting on the steps, bundled in a blue scarf that matched those eyes that Alex couldn't seem to get out of his head. Jamie was scrolling through a phone, hair slightly tousled from the morning breeze, looking up with a smile that made Alex's heart skip as he approached the curb. "You're late," Jamie said, sliding into the passenger seat with practiced ease, bringing the scent of coffee and that signature cologne that Alex had come to associate with these morning drives. "I was starting to think you'd abandon me to the horrors of public transit." "As if I would ever," Alex replied, trying to keep his voice casual despite the way his pulse quickened. "Lost my shoe. The apartment gremlins are getting bolder." Jamie laughed, passing over a paper cup. "I got you coffee. Extra shot, because you sound like you need it." Their fingers brushed during the exchange, and Alex focused intently on pulling back into traffic, hoping the morning light wasn't bright enough to reveal the flush he could feel creeping up his neck. "You're a lifesaver." "Seriously, I know," Jamie said with that playful confidence that was so characteristically disarming. "So, are we ready for the Henderson presentation today?" I was up until midnight tweaking those graphics. And just like that, they fell into their comfortable rhythm. This was what Alex loved about their friendship. How easily conversation flowed. How they could bounce between work talk and personal stories and silly observations about the world around them. Jamie pointed out a dog wearing what appeared to be a tiny raincoat despite the clear skies, and they spent 5 minutes debating whether pet clothing was practical or purely for the owner's amusement. As they drove, Alex couldn't help stealing glances at Jamie's profile. The curve of that jaw, the way those eyes crinkled at the corners when something was particularly amusing. He'd memorized these features months ago, though he tried not to think about what that meant. "Earth to Alex," Jamie said, waving a hand in front of his face at a red light. "You keep zoning out. Am I that boring today?" "Sorry," Alex said, focusing back on the road as the light turned green. "Just thinking." "Dangerous pastime," Jamie teased. "Care to share with the class?" Alex's heart hammered in his chest. How many mornings had they done this dance? How many times had he swallowed the words that threatened to spill out? Every day, he drove Jamie home after work too, and every day, he said a casual goodbye when what he really wanted was to say something else entirely. Something that might ruin everything they had built. "Just work stuff," he lied, taking a sip of the coffee Jamie had brought him. It was perfect, of course. Jamie always remembered exactly how he liked it. Liar, Jamie said softly, but didn't push further, instead turning slightly to look out the window at the city passing by. You know you can tell me anything, right? That's our deal. Their deal. They'd made it official one night after too many beers, a solemn pinky swear that there would be no secrets between them, that their friendship was a judgment-free zone. Alex had kept that promise on everything except this one massive truth that seemed to grow heavier in his chest with each passing day. They were approaching Jamie's street now, the familiar row of brownstones coming into view. In 5 minutes, they'd be at work, surrounded by colleagues and deadlines, and the professional personas they both wore like armor. Another day of pretending his feelings didn't exist. Another day of wondering what would happen if he just took a chance. And then, without fully processing what he was doing, Alex's foot eased onto the brake. The car slowed, then came to a complete stop about half a block from Jamie's building. "What's wrong?" Jamie asked, looking around in confusion. "Did we forget something?" Alex's hands tightened on the steering wheel. His mind raced, searching for an explanation. I think there's something wrong with the car." It was a terrible lie. The Honda was old but reliable, and had shown no signs of trouble during their drive. But Alex couldn't take it back now. "What kind of wrong?" Jamie asked, brow furrowing with concern. "I don't know. It felt strange, like it was about to stall." Alex was not a good liar. He never had been. Jamie knew him too well, could probably see right through this transparent excuse. "Huh. It seemed fine to me." Jamie studied him curiously. "Do you want me to take a look? My dad taught me a few things about engines." "No, it's probably nothing." Alex stared straight ahead, unable to meet Jamie's eyes. The silence stretched between them, thick with unspoken questions. "Alex," Jamie said finally, voice gentler now. "What's really going on?" The morning light was filtering through the windshield, catching on Jamie's hair, turning it to gold. They were parked on a quiet side street, the rush of commuters a distant hum. It felt like they were in their own bubble, separated from the rest of the world. If there was ever a moment to be brave, maybe this was it. "I've been wanting to tell you something," Alex began, his voice barely above a whisper. "For a long time, actually." Jamie turned in the seat to face him fully, those blue eyes intent and focused solely on him. "I'm listening." Alex took a deep breath. His heart was pounding so hard, he was sure Jamie must be able to hear it. "The thing is, I don't know how to say this without potentially messing everything up. And what we have, our friendship, it means everything to me." "It means everything to me too," Jamie said softly. "That's why we made our deal, remember? No secrets. Nothing you could say would make me walk away. Even if I told you that I've been falling for you." The words tumbled out before Alex could stop them, hanging in the air between them. "Even if I said that every morning, picking you up is the best part of my day, and every evening, dropping you off is the hardest, because all I want to do is..." He didn't finish the sentence because suddenly Jamie's hand was on his, warm and steady against his trembling fingers on the gear shift. "All you want to do is what?" Jamie prompted, voice low and unexpectedly hopeful. The world seemed to narrow to just this moment, just this car, just the two of them breathing the same air. Alex turned, finally meeting Jamie's gaze fully. "All I want to do is kiss you," he admitted, the truth a relief after being held in for so long. "I have for months now. Maybe longer." Jamie didn't pull away, didn't laugh it off, or make a joke to diffuse the tension. Instead, those blue eyes dropped to Alex's lips for the briefest moment before coming back up to meet his gaze. "Then why don't you?" Jamie whispered. Time seemed to stand still. Alex couldn't believe what he was hearing. Surely he had misunderstood, or this was some kind of dream he'd wake from any moment. But Jamie was still there, still looking at him with an expression that mirrored everything Alex had been feeling. Slowly, giving Jamie every chance to pull away, Alex leaned across the center console. Their faces were inches apart now, close enough that he could feel Jamie's breath, could see every shade of blue in those eyes. "Are you sure?" Alex whispered, needing to know this wasn't just his imagination. Jamie's answer was to close the final distance between them, pressing their lips together in a kiss that started gentle but quickly deepened with months of pent-up longing. Jamie's hand came up to cup Alex's face, fingers threading into his hair, pulling him closer despite the awkward angle imposed by the car's interior. It was everything Alex had imagined and nothing like he'd expected. Jamie tasted like coffee and possibility, and kissed with a certainty that suggested this wasn't a spontaneous decision, but something considered and wanted for just as long. When they finally pulled apart, both slightly breathless, Alex couldn't help the smile that spread across his face. "So that happened." Jamie laughed, the sound filling the car with warmth. "It definitely did. And I'd very much like it to happen again, preferably not while I'm being jabbed by a gear shift." "How long have you?" Alex couldn't even finish the question, still processing that this wasn't one-sided, that Jamie had been feeling it too. "Honestly, I think I've known since that road trip we took last summer. Remember when we got lost and had to sleep in the car, and you gave me your jacket because I was cold? I woke up with my head on your shoulder, and you were still asleep, and I just thought, oh, this is what it feels like." Alex remembered that trip vividly, how right it had felt to have Jamie curled against him, how he'd barely slept because he didn't want to miss a moment of it. "Why didn't you say anything?" "Same reason you didn't, I guess," Jamie said with a small shrug. "I was scared. You're my best friend, Alex." The thought of losing that was terrifying. "I know exactly what you mean," Alex agreed, reaching out to take Jamie's hand properly now, their fingers intertwining like they'd done this 1,000 times before. "So what happens now?" "Well, first," Jamie said with a grin, "I think you should probably start the car again, since we both know there was never anything wrong with it. And then we should probably go to work, because we're already late, and showing up together looking like this." Jamie gestured between them, to their slightly rumpled clothes and flushed faces, "is going to start rumors." "Let them talk," Alex said boldly, feeling lighter than he had in months. "I don't care who knows." "Easy there," Jamie laughed. "Maybe we should have at least one proper date before we become the main topic at the water cooler. How about dinner tonight? My place. I'll cook that pasta you like." "It's a date," Alex agreed, unable to stop smiling as he turned the key in the ignition. The car started immediately, of course, betraying his earlier lie completely. As they pulled back into traffic, Jamie's hand stayed in his, resting on the console between them. The morning sunlight seemed brighter somehow, the day ahead full of promise rather than the usual Monday dread. They'd have to figure things out, how to balance their friendship with these new feelings, how to navigate working together while dating, all the practical concerns that came with shifting a relationship from one kind to another. But for now, Alex was content to drive through the familiar streets with Jamie beside him, their fingers intertwined, the taste of that kiss still lingering. The car that had stalled had actually started something new, something that felt like it had been waiting to begin for a very long time. "You know," Jamie said thoughtfully as they approached their office building, "I think I've been waiting for you to stall the car for months now." Alex laughed, squeezing Jamie's hand. "Next time, I promise not to take so long." "Next time?" Jamie raised an eyebrow, that playful smile returning. "Planning to make a habit of fake car troubles?" "No," Alex said, pulling into their usual parking spot and turning to face Jamie fully. "But I am planning to make a habit of this." He leaned across the console once more, capturing Jamie's lips in another kiss, this one slower, more deliberate, a promise of all the kisses to come. When they separated, both smiling like fools, Alex knew that whatever happened next, their morning drives would never be the same again. And he couldn't wait to see where this new road would take them. As they walked into the office together, not quite holding hands but walking closer than they usually would, Alex couldn't help thinking that sometimes the most important journeys don't take you to new places, but to people who have been right beside you all along. And sometimes, all it takes is the courage to stall the car and take that leap of faith. The workday ahead would be long, filled with meetings and deadlines and the usual Monday chaos. But for the first time in months, Alex wasn't counting the hours until he could drive Jamie home. Because now, the end of the day didn't mean goodbye. It meant the beginning of something new. Something that had started with a stalled car and one perfect kiss on an ordinary morning that had become anything but. Total _char_count, 17,823.